Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the source material behind something absolutely fascinating. We're looking at the hidden reasons why certain highly capable minds actively choose deep privacy over a loud, flashy 9-to-5 career. We've all kind of been taught that success just has to be loud, right? That it looks like a corner office, a fancy job title, and this constant, never-ending stream of self-promotion. But what if the ultimate flex isn't being known by everyone, but rather being entirely free from the need to be known at all?
I want you to take a second and just picture this. Have you ever met someone who is incredibly financially successful, yet you literally almost never see them post on social media? They aren't bragging about their career trajectory. They don't post pictures from exclusive networking events. And frankly, they seem perfectly content just flying completely under the radar. Well, psychology actually tells us that these individuals haven't just given up on ambition. Rather, they've quietly outgrown the need for external validation. They're not looking for applause. They are looking for the profound silence of a system working in the background while they sleep.
Okay, let's dive into this. Consider the loud 9-to-5 status we're all so used to. The noise, the office politics, the constant striving to be recognized by upper management. It's exhausting. Contrast that with quiet system wealth. This is an entirely different paradigm. It's about building an engine, whether that's digital assets, investments, or automated businesses, that generates income completely independent of your daily physical presence. It is the literal silence of a machine doing the heavy lifting, completely detached from human ego.
Now you might be thinking, well, sure, they just got lucky, or maybe they're just kind of lazy and want to avoid hard work. But no way. The research shows us something completely different. This phenomenon is actually rooted in very specific, science-backed psychological patterns. It's not a coincidence, and it is certainly not laziness. It's a highly adapted way of interacting with the world. There's this deep psychological wiring that drives someone to prefer these quiet systems over traditional employment.
So let's look at Section 1, the foundation, safety and stability.
The data reveals a concept known as survival independence. You see, many people who obsess over building passive, quiet wealth share a common history. They experienced a really high degree of childhood self-reliance. This means they often had to step up and manage their own world, their own emotions, or their own environment way before they were developmentally ready to do so. Because of this early environment, their nervous systems became wired in a very specific way. To someone with survival independence, relying on others feels, well, inherently dangerous. They often only feel truly safe when they are in total, unambiguous control of their own survival. And in the modern world, survival means income.
Let's move to this and see how this builds over a lifetime. That early childhood self-reliance directly translates into a deep craving for income control as they enter the workforce. Think about it for a second. If your brain is hardwired to believe that depending on others is unsafe, then trusting a boss for a paycheck feels incredibly risky. A boss can wake up in a bad mood, or a company can restructure, and suddenly, poof, your livelihood is gone. That lack of control sets off massive psychological alarm bells. Because trusting a boss for a paycheck feels so inherently risky, they naturally progress toward ultimate psychological safety. And they achieve this not by climbing a corporate ladder, but by building an independent system they completely own.
Which brings us directly to the concept of asset-based stability. For the quiet wealth builder, this deep-seated craving for stability is absolutely paramount. They literally view their assets, whether we're talking about a portfolio of websites, real estate, or dividend stocks, as direct extensions of their own mental space. By organizing a system that generates a predictable future income, they effectively remove a massive amount of hidden mental stress. Their peace of mind is directly tethered to the health of their assets rather than the whims of an employer.
All right, moving to Section 2, the mindset shift, validation and emotion.
The typical 9-to-5 trap relies almost entirely on subjective boss approval. You know the drill, waiting on performance reviews, hoping for a specific job title, and just relying on a manager to say, "Good job." It is a constant, exhausting loop of seeking external praise. But these individuals have undergone a total mental evolution. They rely on objective system data. Their self-worth is no longer tied to the subjective approval of some corporate hierarchy. Instead, they find immense satisfaction in the cold, hard, objective metrics of a successful, independent income system. Because let's face it, numbers on a dashboard don't play favorites.
There's this remarkably relieving quote from the source material. Systems don't have bad days or office politics. Just let the relief of that statement wash over you for a second. Imagine a work environment where there is zero interpersonal friction. You don't have to navigate a coworker's passive aggressiveness, you don't have to laugh at a boss's bad jokes, and you don't have to engage in performative busy work.
By removing the daily, draining stress of office politics, the quiet wealth builder secures a massive psychological advantage. And this brilliantly illustrates how they actively cultivate high emotional regulation. Why does removing this interpersonal friction matter so much? Well, because a calm mind is the ultimate defense against expensive, impulsive financial decisions. When you aren't operating out of stress, ego, or the need to prove yourself to your peers, you make clinical, rational choices that compound your wealth over time. The quiet environment isn't just about comfort, it's literally a core financial strategy.
Now for Section 3, the environment, focus and ideas.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how digital minimalism becomes absolutely essential to cognitive bandwidth. They inherently understand that human attention is a finite resource. It's a zero-sum game. For the quiet wealth builder, a massive amount of mental energy is dedicated entirely to building high-earning assets. This leaves practically zero space for mindlessly scrolling, seeking superficial likes, or chasing fleeting social media trends. Every minute spent seeking validation is a minute stolen directly from building an independent system. So they choose the asset every single time.
And there is a truly fascinating psychological reason why this digital minimalism works so perfectly. It's called the incubation effect. Disconnecting from the loud world isn't just about avoiding annoyance. Actually, it's a highly strategic move. When you clear away the constant, buzzing interference of social media noise and societal expectations, you give your subconscious mind the space it desperately needs to process information. That is exactly when the most brilliant, paradigm-shifting business ideas naturally bubble up to the surface. By choosing privacy over popularity, they are essentially creating a protected incubator for their own intellect.
Which leads us to Section 4, privacy as ultimate currency.
I really want to speak directly to you right now, especially if any of this has been resonating. Society loves to slap labels on people who step off the traditional path. If you prefer building quiet systems over attending loud networking mixers, you've probably been called antisocial. Or maybe people assume you're unmotivated because you don't want the corner office. Well, let's reframe that right here, right now, based on the psychology. You are neither of those things. You are simply wired for a completely different type of freedom. You value your time, your autonomy, and your peace of mind far, far more than you value external status.
So the crucial point is this: you aren't broken, you are just adapted. You've adapted to recognize that true wealth is actually having control of your own life, and that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most free. You've adapted to prioritize objective reality over subjective applause. And honestly, that is a superpower, not a flaw.
Which leaves us with one final, very important question to consider today. Are you ready to stop chasing popularity and start building your quiet system? If you find yourself drawn to the power of systems over status, lean into that psychology. Make sure to subscribe if you want to keep unpacking the source material behind the truths most people completely ignore. Until next time, keep building quietly.